Hey everyone, Amy Wood at WSPA TV. I'm actually sitting on the set, kind of like I do during our 10 o'clock show, saying hello to our Facebook audience on the WSPA Facebook page, and also these viewers that have joined us today to talk a little bit about what we do behind the scenes at 10 o'clock. I wanted you to understand that as you start to get to know me a little bit better, the things I've done here at Channel 7 since I've been here since 1990, if you can believe that. But we've got some friends online. Producer Maria, who is a friend of ours who's helped us with coverage from Clemson University. She's here. Elaine Burgess, Elizabeth Bennett, Jordana McGonigal, also John Hoyt, Don Seaman. And if you guys have any specific questions you want to know about how I got started in broadcasting, where I came from, all those things, I'm happy to answer those. You can put them in the chat here. And this is what we do at 10 o'clock. We give you the behind the scenes look at the news. We show you how the cameras look. Like this is our perspective and what I show you behind the scenes at 10, the teleprompter, the cameras I look at, and we show you the green screen with Christy and all the cool stuff that a lot of people don't get to see when they just watch television. So this is that second screen experience. All right, now John is asking me, why are you so awesome? Which is very silly. But I love the fact that Elaine wants to know where I'm from because that's an interesting story. I came here from Minnesota, and my first job was in Minnesota out of college. And when I got here, people said, this is back in 1990, the northern folks are not so popular down here in the South, so it would be better for you to emphasize you're from Minnesota, when in fact, I'm from New York. So I didn't talk a lot about being from New York when I first got here, but over the years, more and more northern folk have moved down here, and it seems like it's gotten to be a little bit easier in terms of sharing where you're from. So that's Elaine's question of where are you from? And you can see that I can put your questions and comments during our broadcast behind the scenes at 10 right here below the screen. So that's kind of cool too. Jordana is saying, what are your favorite things to cover? You know, live events, breaking news has always been something I absolutely adore. I think it's really, really cool to be able to also do it in this new way. For example, when we have storm coverage, when we have a breaking story now, I jump on Spreecast like this and I listen to your questions, I take in your information. And so instead of it being that push out a one-way conversation with news, we have this two-way conversation going on behind the scenes. And it's really cool. I mean, in my 10 o'clock show, when we do this behind the scenes, we'll have people come in and give us tips on breaking stories, updates on what's happening with the weather. I mean, really interesting firsthand reporting that comes from you, the viewer. And then we confirm that and work the sources that we have to get that information on television. Because, of course, we don't just put what you tell us on TV. We have to do a lot of checking, double checking, and confirming before we can actually put it on television. So that's a really good question about what I like to cover, my favorite things. What's my favorite color? Oh my gosh, you know what? That color that I have my profile picture in, that aqua blue. I love that color. That's my favorite color. Um, and so Elaine says that I share the same birthday as her husband. I'm an April baby. Many April Aries folks are out there having questions and stuff. You know, another thing I want to do is show you how we use Spreecast, not only to talk to you like this and to sometimes show the behind the scenes. I can actually pump in the Channel 7 signal in here during the show, but I also can bring in viewers. And Maria's going to give us an example of that. She's a student at Clemson who I've sort of used as an unofficial intern behind the scenes before. Maria, hello. Maria's on
Hey,
spring break and is joining us, which is so awesome. Thank you for doing that.
you're welcome.
So what is up? What kind of things do you you're a journalism student, as a journalist of the future, what would you want to know from someone like me?
How'd you start? Like, what was your first job as like going into this type of field?
Well, you know, the way I got interested, which is a kind of cool story, and it always makes me tell young people, no matter whether they're interested in journalism or not, to go out there and get firsthand experience doing things, trying things out, meeting people who are in the working world. Because I accidentally, during a English class in high school, had a tour of a local newspaper, and the editor had written this really ridiculous, very boring headline just to kind of show us how the system worked. He wasn't trying to write the world's greatest headline, but when I saw the headline he wrote, I immediately jumped in there and criticized him and said, well, I think you should have written blah, blah, blah. I don't even remember what the example was. Well, he called my teacher a week later and said, would she like to come and start volunteering after school just to get some experience and see if she's interested in news? And that man changed my life. So I've always been very interested in helping teenagers and encouraging young people to just keep trying things, because you just never know when you'll find the thing that is like your perfect thing. What else, Maria? Because you've talked to me before about journalism and broadcasting. It's changing so much. Are you learning about like all these new things, this new media stuff? What do you think?
Well,
Where's it going in your mind?
We haven't really I hadn't gotten into all of those classes that tell us about that, but I have been writing a paper about like the way news media is changing and how social media is kind of taken over the news channels. Do you think that's happening?
I think that social media has become a complement to news. In other words, first of all, for me, Twitter is amazing because it becomes like a personal news feed for me. So as far as a way to comb through lots of information, it's very valuable. And then on the other side, the two-way conversation that I mentioned earlier, where people can come to us with breaking news immediately. I mean, they used to call us in the newsroom, but now it's a Facebook post, it's a tweet, it's a text message that is coming in, and it's usually much more rapid fire because people are on scene. By the way, Jordana asked where you go to school, and she's a Clemson student, so she's at Clemson University, which is a great place to go to school.
Yes.
John Hoyt is joking around because I broke my toe, y'all. I have a broken toe, and the Tigers people are saying, but I broke my toe, Maria. I don't know if you've heard about this, and I am like in agony and pain. Actually, it's getting better, but I've been posting a lot of pictures about it, and my doctor actually wrote me a prescription today that says I don't have to do housework for a month. Woo! It's like the greatest news I've ever received. It's in writing. So I'm showing it to my husband.
So on the plus side, you don't have to do chores.
I know, on the plus side. And John is asking me here, how did you break your toe? And I got to put that up on the screen here. Elizabeth also wanting to know, how did you break your toe? And I was cleaning. That's why he wrote I didn't have to do any more cleaning. And I whacked it into a suitcase, which the lesson from all of this is always wear shoes when you're cleaning. I've learned that lesson. Even in your own home. It's a good idea. And Don Steven saying, yeah, the best prescription ever. It really was. It was my favorite prescription I've ever received. All right, well, we got shout outs for the Tigers. We've got lots of viewers in here, which is great. Jason is here and Jennifer Pitts, Gail Foster. If anybody wants to pop on camera, I see Elaine is waiting to go on camera. I'm going to pull her in. We're going to see if this works, Elaine, or not. Anybody else that wants to go on camera, you can push the camera button to come on or do whatever you'd like. But let's pull on Elaine. I'm going to pop you out, Maria. I can put actually 4 people in here at a time, so we can all hang out together. Elaine, do you have any questions for me? Thanks for being here.
Do you love your job, Amy?
I do. And you know what happened for me when social media came along? It has enabled me to connect with viewers like this in a really powerful, cool way. I mean, even though we haven't met in person necessarily or hung out in person, it feels so much more personal than it would have through an email or a phone call back in the day, you know? And so I think that I've always loved being able to tell people stories, help people out, solve problems, those types of things. But the ability now to have it be two-way is what I think really has fueled a renewed passion, I guess. You know, after you do something for 25-ish years, it can start to get stale. But social media, for me, helped to just reinvigorate journalism. And I think it's just been very, very exciting and rewarding. I love it. I love it. I love it. And, you know, the other thing, sometimes, Elaine, people ask me, sometimes people ask, why do you like your job? And I think the reason I like it also is because it's never the same. I mean, there's some things that are similar, but generally every day I'm doing something different. There's something new that I have to learn. So I kind of consider it almost like a continuing education, you know, because you're constantly having to go, wait a minute, what is that? How does that work? Tell me more about that. I need to dig deeper into this. And so you're constantly sort of stretching yourself, and it's pretty fun. Jason, Hope is a future
I work with the mentally
journalist.
Ill. Yeah. No, I work with the mentally ill. Yes, I do.
And that's a big issue right now. That's a big issue right now. Do you have any story tips? This is also why I like to come on Spreecast and talk to people. Do you have any story tips about the way we should cover that issue? Anything that you're observing as we cover that issue in the news these days? Are you glad it's getting coverage now?
I'm glad it is, because people don't understand that the mentally ill need as much help as anybody does, you know. and some of them need a lot more help. And we got to be careful about what we say and do with these mentally ill people. Yeah.
That's good. That's good information and good to know. And keep us posted. If you have any ideas on angles we should cover in the community, let us know. Jennifer Pitts is asking me the most important question of all. Do I have any tattoos? Do I have tattoos? Do you guys have tattoos? How many of you out there have tattoos? I want to see in the chat how many have tattoos. I don't have a tattoo. It's just not been my thing. Here's my philosophy on tattoos. Not that there's anything wrong with them, but for me, the fear is if I get a tattoo and then I become 90 years old, God bless me if I live that long, it's not going to look the same. I'm always worried about it being this wrinkly whatever. So I'm always afraid. I'm like, okay, if it's not going to look good when I'm 90, I'm not doing that. That's my personal take on tattoos. But I think it's great. Some people love them, and I'm amazed at the people who are really covered in them because I know it's painful, and I don't know how they do that. I don't understand how they do it. John, do you have tattoos? To look, he's saying I would get myself tattooed to look just like myself, only taller. Oh my goodness. Anybody else have any more questions? I'm afraid of needles. What about you, Elaine or Maria? Any other questions before we wrap things up?
What do you like to do when you're not working?
Because I work such a weird schedule where that might be something of interest to you too. I work 3 to midnight. So as a mom, as we all know, that's kind of a challenging schedule because it keeps me away from my family more than I would like during the weekdays. So really, honestly, I'm a homebody. On the weekends, we hang out, we enjoy each other's company, we play, we go out of town to the beach or the mountains sometimes, and it's just family time. And so that's why a lot of the time I get asked to do a lot of things on the weekends, but since I don't get to see my kids during the week, I really have to decline a lot of things on the weekends, unfortunately, which is, I hope people understand, but I think all the mamas and dads out there understand you got to get your time, your quality time with your kiddos. Gail Foster is asking the most important question. I'm supposed to be doing Dancing with the Stars and I have a broken toe. And she's saying, are you going to dance? As far as I'm concerned, the doctor's saying roughly in a month I'll be okay. So, and I can do like light dance rehearsals, like not overdoing it right now. So I'm planning to do it unless something goes terribly wrong. Do you think I'm crazy dancing on a broken toe?
No, I think it's great.
Somebody's got to do it.
That's right.
Hey, and if I do badly, I can always blame it on my broken toe. I can say, well, hey, I would have been awesome, but I have a broken toe. It's my fail-safe excuse. Oh my goodness.
I love it.
Everyone's saying family time is really important, which it truly is. I mean, it's hard to get that these days, no matter what your schedule is, no matter, every working mom and dad struggles with trying to find that time to be there. You've been through childbirth, dancing with a broken toe should be a piece of cake, says Dawn. I sure hope so. Well, if there's any other questions really quick, Maria, anything else you want to ask about broadcasting or how I got to South Carolina? I will say that of the stories I've covered over the years, the most memorable, a lot of people ask me that, are the Susan Smith case, and in particular, when I had to anchor the funeral for those 2 little boys. That was, like, to me, the most challenging thing I've ever had to do as an anchor, because it was such a delicate dance between covering it because we all were so emotionally invested in that story, but also being super respectful. And it was just really. Can you hear me now? Everybody okay? We're all back? Okay. Well, everything's fine. But yeah, that Susan Smith case was one of the biggest and most memorable cases that I've covered. Also, I got to go on a trip to Russia as a mission trip. We covered it for 2 weeks, and then I did a documentary on that. That was fascinating to do the Carolina missionary work in Russia. That was really, really cool. Can you guys still see me now?
Yes,
Can you see me?
Now I can.
So anyway, and then another story. The other thing that I really like doing now too, as far as coverage goes, is these kind of things. The Spreecast, where I jump onto Spreecast when there's news breaking, when there's a big storm. During the ice storm, I don't know if you remember this a couple of years ago when our tower collapsed on top of Hogback Mountain and we got knocked off the air. I was at home streaming live on Ustream, a different platform, and I wound up streaming live for 10 hours during that ice storm with viewers, giving breaking news information, sort of becoming that vehicle for getting and disseminating information. It was amazing. That was a really cool experience as well. But anytime that I can jump on and be part of a big story and bring you guys into the conversation, that makes my day. Absolutely. Well, I'm glad you guys came by. I appreciate everyone being here. I want to share a couple of links with you guys. Oh yeah, no worries. Thanks, Elaine. Good to see you. Bye. And then a couple of links here. That's a way to connect with me if you want to connect with me on Facebook or Twitter. And if you want to get involved, the 10 o'clock show is on the CW. It's channel 62. We do the behind the scenes weeknights at 10. And we also have the live stream available on WSPA.com. That link right there will take you to it. You'll see it on the below of the WSPA.com homepage. You see a little thing that says Chat Live with Amy, or that link right here will take you to it. And if you ever want to know where I lived, I've lived in some cool places like Stockholm, Sweden, and Argentina for a few months during college. But that'll show you all the places I've lived. Also, if you want to know a little bit about my resume, if you're interested in broadcasting and background of my career, that is a link to that. It's kind of an interesting, they call it Visualize Me, and it's this cool infograph resume, which is very different from the traditional one. And so I guess that's it. I thank you guys for watching. If you have more questions, we will post some more answers tomorrow, so you can use the Facebook comments on the station Facebook page to ask questions, and we'll get back on here and answer them tomorrow. So Maria, thank you. It's great to see you. Thanks for being here. And everybody else, thank you guys for watching. Goodbye to Elizabeth and Kevin, Janice, also Jennifer, Jason, Don, John, Larry, and Andy, and you. Thanks for watching.